So I'm having a lot of fun with Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon, guys, to the point where I had to jump in and do this video since we just wrapped up the stream this morning and say this is absolutely one of the best first-person RPGs I've played in a while. Um, it's rough around the edges. It has what we are lovingly referring to in my community as Euro jank, but it's very fun and it's very deep and it's more than I thought it was going to be, to be honest with you. I did not get involved with the early access of this game. I was sort of on the back burner just waiting for it to come to the full release. And when Awaken Realms reached out and offered me a review copy a couple weeks back, I was like, yeah, I'll absolutely take a look. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I am playing it on the Xbox Series X. We just wrapped up the most recent stream, like probably 10 minutes before this video was recorded, so really recently. And we are on our way. I think we're over. I'd have to go look at the stream times, but I think we're getting up around 15 hours played so far, and having a great time. Um, I feel like my character is finally starting to come together after today's stream that we just wrapped up. So I was building towards a stealth archer character, and I have a bow which has let's see here. I have a poison dot on my longbow, um, a blight opal. And then one of the bounties we took out today had these awesome daggers on it, which I'm not getting the full effect yet because I need one more point of dex. But the Wolf's Fang daggers, which add additional sneak attack, and the same mob that had those daggers also had this really cool assassin set of gear, which increases my sneak attack damage by, I believe, 30%. 5, 10 is 15. That's 20. It's 25 and 30. Yeah, so on like 30% base damage bonus from the assassin set of garb. So I do feel like my stealth archer build is coming together now. This is the character that I've played in pretty much every RPG I've ever played that's a fantasy-based RPG. The exceptions to this would be when I play things like Cyberpunk 2077 or Starfield. When I'm playing science fiction RPGs, I will still tend to make some sort of a thief-based character, but it's not going to be quite the same as a stealth archer, right? Because this is the build that I've carried through, whether it's Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate 3. Although we did the Moon Druid the first playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, but Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Icewind Dale 1, Icewind Dale 2, Neverwinter Nights 1, Neverwinter Nights 2, Pillars of Eternity 1, Pillars of Eternity 2. I think every single game, all of those games, I've played some version of a stealth archer, and loved it. Avowed, a stealth archer is just it's my build. I've used it for years, and it did take a little bit to get there, but I do feel like it's coming together now after about a dozen hours of gameplay, a little over a dozen hours of gameplay. So, the character I'm running, if we look at the attributes. I've got 6 dex, 8 perception, 2 strength. That's just what I needed to be able to. I actually respec during the stream earlier with a potion of origin. I gotta write that down too, because I needed to be able to. I needed more perception to be able to use the armor set. And I had spec'd for a different set of gear that I was wearing at the time, and then I got that set of gear and I was like, oh, I'm going to go respec now. So thankfully I had those potions on hand to do that. So I respec'd my character to be able to use that gear. I am in attributes, in skill trees is what I was looking for. I have some points in bow. And a little bit in movement, because specifically I'm using a lot of dodge and or that dash, and that dash drains your stamina. So I've put a couple of points in that to sort of help reduce that down. I'll end up putting some more points in that to max it out for sure. I've got some basic stuff here for the bow, and then over in the perception line I've got some stealth points, specifically a couple of points in here to increase my sneak attack damage. I'll end up putting more points into the degrees of noise eventually, and the ambush's impact, which stuns, but then more importantly cheat death, which when I take lethal damage it makes me invisible for 5 seconds instead of killing you, which means I can go invis and run the fuck away and hopefully survive to live another day. So, uh, yeah, there's it's a great game. There is definitely a lot of stuff that's rough around the edges. A good example of what I'm talking about by rough around the edges and what I would refer to as Eurojank is I'm playing on the Xbox. If you look on the bottom right as an example, we can cycle through these, but X, essentially the X button, will use whatever of your quick items you have slotted into that. And you can have 3 different items equipped, and then you can cycle through them, and whichever one is the one on the bottom where the X button is what's going to be consumed. Now, the problem with that is that if you go hover over a chest, for an example, and these might all be empty. All right, so here's a good example. So see how it says take all is the X button? So the problem that I've run into is if I'm confronted with a bunch of these chests like this, and I'm going through and I'm like, take all, take all, take all, take all, and if you ever accidentally miss and you don't and you're not hovering your icon over a barrel or a crate, it will immediately consume whatever is in your X slot. And food is expensive to make, as are potions. And I have unwittingly, accidentally consumed so many potions and food items because of misclicks. That's one of those things where I talk about that as being a little bit of jank, because it could definitely use a little bit of love. And then there's things like, as an example, when you are looking at items in your stash box, notice that when I first open it up, it's going to show me a tooltip for something. But then, if you move your cursor over, you lose the tooltip, and it no longer shows you what any of these items are, right? And only when you're in your stash, because if I go into my inventory and look at things, we're totally fine. Like, we have the tooltip as normal, and you can go through here and that all works fine. So these are the little things that I would talk about as being what we call as jank, a little rough around the edges here and there. But other than that, it's been an absolutely pleasurable experience. Like I said in my early thoughts video, it's just a lot of fun, and it's really nice to see a company that has made, and I believe this is their first game if I'm not mistaken. By the way, we need to harvest. These are the roses, right? I'm gonna grab all these while we're over here. It's got a pretty rich crafting system. So like, if I go in here, I can cook. And by the way, I went to the kitchen and found a whole bunch of recipes now, so I can make all sorts of different things. And all the foods do different things. You can make different tiers of food, and they give different, regen rates. There's also an alchemy table somewhere around town. I forget where it's at. It's probably I think it was over here where the priest is at. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. It's right here, I think. I want to double check before I go in here. Yeah. So like, I want to show the alchemy table too, because you can do alchemy and you can make all sorts of like potions, and also splash concoctions. Oh, this was another perfect example of jank, which we could talk about here in a minute. But you can make concoctions, which are things you can throw at people. You can make coatings, which you can put on your weapons. You can make poisons and things of that nature. The throwing of items was one that I was talking about earlier in the stream today, because it took me forever to figure out how to actually throw an object, because I was going in here and looking at like trying to find the concoctions, right? And I was like, okay, where are they at? Okay, I can find a concoction. How do I use them? Because when you hover over them, there's no like throw button on the bottom, and if I click like A, it consumes. I don't want to consume. How do you use them? Well, it turns out you have to first put them into a quick slot item, a quick slot area, I should say, like this. Same thing with coatings. And then once you get it in there, if it's in there, we can say equip. Now that it's in there, you then either have to have it selected from the radial menu, you could do like this, or you can use that tab I was talking about, tabbing over, and as long as it's in the X spot, you will then chuck it and throw that object out there. That felt a little, it felt like way too many steps to get there. And the other one I could think of is like when you're mining things, like you have to hit your pickaxe 3 times, like A, and I'm just like, why don't you just have me hit the button once and it does 3 swings? Like, it feels repetitive to have to hit the button. Little things like that, they do not take away from my enjoyment. But I do think these are the little things that would allow me to say it's rough around the edges compared to a more streamlined experience that you might get from a AAA company or a company who's made several games before and they've ironed out all the kinks. Who knows what they're going to be patching into this game later on, but I can say that out of the box, I'm very impressed, and I'm having a damn good time. It's a mixture of like old school Eurojank. When I say Eurojank, it's like old school janky Morrowind, Bethesda, Obsidian back in the day, but also really deep fun with like some H.R. Geiger artwork in some of the areas where you go, where you're dealing with some creepy underworld stuff, and then there's like the Arthurian legends that we're dealing with. The voiceovers are absolutely phenomenal. I came across, I think her name was Mog. If you've seen Mog, you'll know who I'm talking about. She is in a crypt off in a cemetery somewhere, and she's way at the bottom. And she has a fun little storyline, but her voiceover, the actress who did Mog, deserves to win an award. I was laughing my ass off the whole time we were listening to her do her voiceover, and her spiel and everything was. And also the actress who does this merchant right down here, the trader lady. That's not you. It's the lady that's around the corner. Her voice acting has been quite well done as well. Like, all the voice acting has been really well done so far. So, like I said, just generally speaking, I am having an absolute ball of a time with this game, and it's way more than I expected. This is a phenomenal first-person RPG for those of you who like those types of games. And I know that, yes, you can technically go into third person, but the third person was an add-on shortly before launch. This was originally designed as a first-person RPG, and that's how I'm playing it. And I am loving every minute of it, and I cannot wait to do this entire adventure that we're on right now that's going to take us over the next couple of weeks as we do a full clear of this game. So hopefully you'll be tuning in for the live streams of this. I start every single morning around 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. I'm doing guides around this game as well. There's a playlist down below, and also, apart from the live streams, we're cutting these into 30-minute episodes. For those of you who can't tune into the live streams, you can watch them in the 30-minute Let's Play episodes that are airing here on YouTube. So see you next time. Love to hear your thoughts on the game. Drop them down below. Stay safe. Happy gaming.